Music for global change. Creating music that inspires the world. Welcome to the Music for Global Change broadcast. And now here's your hosts, founder and music ambassador Skyler, Jett, with Deborah Fenella and Tom Bryant.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to start a revolution? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to start a revolution?
Welcome to the Music for Global Change broadcast. I'm here today with the founder, music ambassador Skyler, Jett, myself, Deborah Fenella, and also
Tom Bryant. Hello.
Now, we're really excited to interview celebrity Ralphe Armstrong, who is also the son of the legendary visual artist, musician, composer, poet, storyteller, Howard Louie Bluey Armstrong. Good evening, Ralphe. How are you? Mind you, it looks like it's daytime where you are. How are you today?
I'm blessed. I'm not stressed, and I'm not trying to be in no mess.
That's right. I always say that myself.
Now then, I've been reading up on your bio. From just the age of 20 years old, you were touring and recording. Accomplishments were beyond, what the average musician strives to achieve in a lifetime. Obviously, being the son of legendary Howard Louie Bluey Armstrong, you also came from a musical background. In 1974, 16 years of age, you had just finished your musical studies in classical, also jazz at Michigan's Interlochen Arts Academy. And then over the next few years, you went on tour and recorded with an endless list of illustrious names. I won't actually try and pronounce the word that you've given me. Also with Zappa and Mothers of Invention, Herbie Hancock, Jean-Luc Ponty, Santana, also the Beatles, producer George Martin. Fantastic, background that you come from in a musical family as well. So please tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself.
I started with John McLaughlin at the age of 17. He took me out of Cass Technical High School, and I auditioned for John in Canaan, Connecticut. I met him through Michael Narada Walden. I had a fretless Fender bass, which at that time to me wasn't a big deal because James Jamerson, the great Motown bass player, introduced me to the fretless bass. So when I saw John, I played the fretless bass, he went berserk over it. He was like, oh, you play fretless. Oh man, he just went, to me, it wasn't a big deal because it sounded like a turd, back or something. It was a dead sound, Yeah. And at the same time, I auditioned a dear friend, we became dear friends later on in life, Jaco Pastorius audition, and I got the job because I played the fretless bass. Now I'm gonna tell you what happened after the audition. I went home to Detroit, and John says, I'm gonna call you to play bass. I'm gonna call you. And I'm like, he's not gonna call this brother from Detroit. I think I was 16.
Oh, wow.
Because I was still in high school. He called me and says, Ralphe, I want you to talk to somebody. And guess who was on the phone?
Who was it?
Carlos Santana.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I almost dropped the phone. I was shaking like this. I was like, oh my God. And I played all of Santana's music. And to hear him on the phone wanting me to play, I almost fainted,
Yeah.
So next thing I know, a month later, I got an airplane ticket to go to New York, and I was working for the great entertainment attorney, Nathan Weiss and Maybach.
Okay.
And after that, I was in your city, London, and I was hanging out on Oxford Street, and I was staying at the Churchill for 2 months and riding in the Daimler, Vanden Plas.
Yeah, man. You're an amazing bass player, but who's some of your favorites that you play with? You
know what? That's hard. I've done a lot of traditional jazz. I worked with Blue Mitchell, Thad Jones. I tell you who was my dear friend I played with, who was from Detroit a lot, was the great Milt Jackson, the vibraphonist.
Oh, yeah.
I recorded with a great musician, a scientist, and we did a recording, his last recordings in Munster, Holland. And that was the great Eddie Harris, great saxophone.
Yes, yeah.
I've been blessed, man. I think, who impressed me the most in my life was John. And another guy, I don't know if you know, I worked with him for a very short time. His name was Miles Davis.
Oh, yeah, I heard of him.
Mm-hmm. But what's so funny, I was always hearing about Miles as a kid because with my brother Tommy in Chicago kind of grew up with Miles. When Miles left East St. Louis, he went to Chicago. My brother and Miles were good friends. Yeah. And my other cousin played bass for Miles, James Hare. So it's so funny how I got the gig with Miles, man. I was with Michael Henderson, who was going on a singing career at the time. And he says, Miles, we got to hear Ralphe. Da, 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 da. And so Miles said, I'm going to check you out. Yeah, so I'm at Bill Cosby's joint in the Village. Oh, and I was playing with Curtis Fuller and Marcus Belgrave, like a Detroit All-Star band. Okay. And Miles come in. I called Miles on the phone. I said, man, I'll be through, man. So Miles comes in there with a purple velvet suit looking like Prince, man. He's like, he's like, fat boy. Then he did like this and walked out the club. I was kind of crying because at that time I was like 19,
Yeah.
So I called Miles the next day. He says, I just want to tell you play one note. You got a fat sound. You got the gig. So I had to gig with my. So what happened, I was rehearsing with Toomey and Reggie Lucas, and Pete Cozy was the main guy that was teaching me. Me and Reggie and Pete and Al Foster at the time. He was in the band. So after this, Miles, I was getting the music. We're going to do Montreux, Switzerland, 1976.
Oh, wow.
No. Started 77. 77. It's been a long time ago. Yeah. So Miles goes to get some beer and has a car accident. He had a yellow Ferrari like my shirt.
Oh, wow.
And ran into a pole and broke his hip. And he stayed out of music for like 8 years. And that was the end of that. Oh, and I was hanging with Miles and going up to his place in West End. But what's so funny about it, let me tell you what happened after that. This is weird. I'm going to A.V. Fisher to play with Frank Zappa. You have to excuse me for talking. I just had some good, matter of fact, it's British tea. It's Twillings. I'm on the airplane going to New York. So I stop in Chicago and I'm in first class, business class. I sit down and guess who I'm sitting next to?
Who?
Herbie Hancock.
Okay,
so Herbie said to me, hey, man, I'm going to see Miles, man. And I know you're not playing. So why don't you come play bass with me? So isn't that some divine intervention?
Wow.
That's his fate.
That's amazing.
That's a beautiful thing. Well, we're doing this thing, Music for Global Change. And
yes.
Music that heals, right? Educates and solves problems. And so who were some of your favorites at social conscious music?
Good question. Well, I got to put John McLaughlin at number one because his music was always about spirituality and peace.
Okay.
I got to put him and also Carlos, Frank Zappa to a certain degree.
Yeah. He's pretty.
He was against we're dealing with people who want to be dictators, and he was against wars and like I wrote a song. I don't know if you know the song called "Planetary Citizen."
No, it's one of your tunes.
Yeah, and matter of fact, it's one of the most sampled songs in the music industry.
Oh my! And
I did it with Mahavishnu, and it's and one of the main verses in the song. If you love one another, we can open doors.
That's right.
And matter of fact, your fellow countryman, Massive Attack, sampled my song.
Wow.
And used it in a motion picture. It's been sampled all over. You had to go on the internet. And then I wrote a prelude to it just recently called Planetary Peace. And Guy Pratt, another one of your countrymen, played bass on it. He came to Detroit and played on my session, man. Fantastic. That's my man. Hey, Guy. That's my dog, by Guy Pratt, man. Peter Van Hook. I love England. I tell you, my roots in London, man. It's well Middlesex, Sussex.
Next time you come over, come visit us, man.
You kidding? I'm gonna hang, man. Hopefully, on a serious tip, hopefully I'll get to be at Ronnie Scott sometime in the near future. We're working on with trio, because I have a fusion reunion like trio. We play like a lot of electric music, you know. Yeah. But music heals souls. You know, music is about calming the human spirit and releasing tension. Yes. And human beings feed into stress so much, you know. People don't understand that. We have to start not focusing on stress and what's bad. It's like the kid who had a whole, roast beef and cried about not having any bread. People don't understand their blessings. Yeah. Well, I am at this point in my life, in my 65 years, I'm enjoying my life. I get sad when I see other people who are frustrated, who have not lived their dreams. All you have to do is try. Just like seeing this. I think this is beautiful.
I'm only trying, man. But hey, come over and play Ronnie Scott so I can come sing a song with you or something.
Hell yeah. Oh, don't even try it. We got it like that, man. And that's the thing about music. I always have been around musicians that have been open-minded, when it comes to music and not egotistical. Right. And the ego, let it come out in your music. Don't let it come out in your person.
You don't have no room for that. Deborah, you got a question?
I would love to ask you, how did it take you to actually learn the bass?
Well, it's different levels of learning. To just be a decent player, it took me, I have a lot of music in my bloodline. Yes. It took maybe about 3 to 4 years. Mm-hmm. But to become what they call me today as a intellectual of the instrument, it took me about 8 years. A lot of those things that I learned about the bass, it come from your own country.
Oh, really?
Eugene Kraft, who recorded Apocalypse. He was in the orchestra. At the time, I think he was principal of the London Symphony at the time. Yeah. Very nice gentleman. And I was he was like one of my idols, You can find all the literature about my instrument, the bass, in London, Oxford Library. Yeah. Foots. Is Foots still in business? Number 10 Golden Square. Oh, Foots is an international. I hope they're still in business.
Yeah. Tom, you got a question too?
I have, yeah. If you could collaborate with anyone you haven't already collaborated with, who would it be?
Good question. Played with Sting. I work with Sting. Yeah. Man, I just recorded. He played on my recording. Are you familiar with William Duvall from Alice in Chains?
Yes.
Guitar. I tell you who I would like to record with. We just hung out about 2 years ago, and that's Pete Townsend.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful cat. Yeah. Is Harvey Goldsmith still alive over in England? The philanthropist?
Yes,
he's Sir Harvey Goldsmith now. You know what? I want to show you something real quick.
Yeah, there you go. Aretha.
This is my book on Aretha Franklin.
Oh, wow.
I just finished the editing copy. This is the front page. It's called My Friend the Queen from Her Court Jester. This is the back cover. And this book is made, it's out of love. It's a lot of personal pictures. Aretha was my friend. Yeah. Even when I was not performing with her, I was always invited to her parties, and a lot of great pictures in here. I've got my personal memorabilia, some of her song set, funny stories. Aretha was just what you would call, in layman's terms, a hoot. But what's funny about the book, what's unique about it, let me rephrase that statement. Yeah. What's unique about it, it's all about love, because she was good to me. And she treated me as a friend. And she would say things like, you don't want to play with me. You out there doing this stuff. And she always knew what I was doing. If I was
checking up on
she was always abreast of my travels. Yeah. And that's what's so special. Now, what was killing me, there's some funny stories. I just had to write something last night. Dig this, man. So we're in the studio. We started talking about Miles Davis, and I said, yeah, Aretha, I work with Miles. We started talking about Miles. I said, yeah, Aretha, I work with Miles. And Narada, he was sitting right there. We were talking, me, Narada, and Aretha, 3 of us. So Aretha said, yeah, I knew John Coltrane. I said, wow, what kind of guy was he? And she was going, he could play and he was this and that, and and he was a good guy. So Aretha was walking to the women's restroom. Yeah. And she looked back at us, me and Nara say, yeah, I knew John Coltrane, and he didn't wear no drawers.
Oh, Lord. Oh, wait. That's way too much information.
We fell out. We fell out. Matter of fact, Nara even brought it up at her funeral when I was taking him to the airport.
Yeah.
Because what made it so funny is, as musicians, we look at John Coltrane as this like God figure.
The icon of saxophone.
Right.
Yeah.
But to hear he didn't wear drawers, we were like, oh.
Yeah, that's way too much information. Anyway.
It is, I know, but you let your imagination go wild on that.
Yeah. We have another guest coming on, Alexander McLean.
Welcome to the show, Alexander McLean. In 1990, you opened your first shoe shop in Vienna, Austria.
Yeah.
You are a designer of shoes in Europe, America, and Japan. And in 2007, which is a topic I really want to get into with you, you started a music project called Under Your Skin, which explores cultural diversity in music and artists globally. You've also interviewed, a whole list of incredible people, including Anthony Braxton, Ornette Coleman, Sister Sledge, Henry Rollins, and Public Enemy, to name just a few. So welcome to the show, and perhaps you can tell us a bit more about all of that.
Well, yeah. I mean, basically it starts in the childhood where my uncle is a music writer, basically. I've always had an interest in music. A certain period of time, I went into fashion. Also DJing at the same time. Sometimes I had two jobs at the same time, so I'd be working as a DJ in London. Then at a point, I decided to travel abroad, and then I went into journalism. I started writing for a newspaper in Vienna. I was doing several things at that time too. I was the agent for shoe companies in England, British designers.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was DJing at a venue in Vienna. I was the DJ for that place. They had invited me over to do regular evenings there, and I did for quite a few years.
What was the name of that venue, Alexander?
That place was called the Duesenberg. I'm not sure if it's around. I know the building's still there because it was a very old, prestigious building. The Duesenberg, I think the name is actually based on a car from the 20s or 30s.
Meet Ralphe Armstrong.
Hey, Alexander.
Good to meet you too.
Alexander, who were some of the greatest people that you enjoyed interviewing?
I'd say there's quite a few. I mean, I'm musical. I'm an art type person, so I think musicians, they like dealing with people who are in some way, even if they're not involved with music, there can be friction, I think, between people who are journalists, want to be musicians, sort of thing. That's a bit sometimes maybe not doesn't work. But I'm involved with other art areas, so I got along with most of the musicians, pretty much all of them. I had no troubles. I think I'd say there's only one or two, maybe the younger one. But the one I really liked a lot was Ahmed Jamal, the pianist.
Yeah.
Mm.
He said I was the best journalist he met. I mean, I don't really want to drop that now, but I dropped it. So that's a compliment in itself.
Yeah.
Somebody like that.
Yes, it is.
Right. So, and he said that on video while we were talking after the interview, because we spoke a lot about the music business, and Ahmed Jamal is a very knowledgeable man. He's not just a musician. He's he understands how business function. He opened his own club, I think, in the 60s. He was telling me, and stuff like that. So he knows business, how it works. And we both agreed that there has to be some change in the music business, how it's functioning. And I think that where we are now with the banking situation, that's going to change everything. I think the project that you're working on, this is the perfect time to do that. Chuck D is a fabulous guy. John McLaughlin's a fabulous guy. Narada Michael Warden was fabulous. Greg Fillinganes was fabulous. These are all great.
What do you know about Greg Fillinganes? Excuse me.
Great man. I interviewed him. Great.
I went to high school with Greg at Cass Tech.
Right.
Wow.
And he is like one of my dearest friends. We keep in touch constantly. And I love the cat, man. He's a genius, and he did all the Michael Jackson stuff, man.
Stevie Wonder.
For years, and worked with Quincy Jones.
Stevie Wonder and all the rest of them.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
You knew my brother-in-law, Brian Jackson.
Brian, I interviewed twice. He's great. Brian's just a very fun man. He's a fun man to be. We spent the whole day together one time.
Oh, he's a sweetheart. Brian Jackson was the keyboard player.
Okay.
On Angel Dust and all them tunes like that. Yeah,
they had albums together with their names on it. They were joint partners with their music, really.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't just the
In
keyboard.
the Bottle, you know, them tunes
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm going to get out of here. And thank
Yeah.
y'all for having me on this. I think it's wonderful. Skyler, thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Just great, man.
thank you, brother. We want to ask you, what's your feelings about social conscious music, and what do you believe the benefits are?
Well, really, when I started this, it was you know, my mother had passed at the time, so it was a thing like, well, what am I going to do that's going to be what I really, really want to do? And I thought, well, I better just put something out there for the next generations.
That's right.
So, I mean, I've interviewed people, very young musicians, till Yusuf Lateef, who's already passed. I think he was 90 when I interviewed him.
Ooh, yes, sir. Yeah.
So, you know, so I've done the numbers, you know, I've tried to make a small library of the artists that I thought, that not just any artists, people that I thought were really making music. And and the other thing is that, I mean, we didn't go through that. When I was very young, I used to, you know, I was about 16. I went to clubs already at that age, and I used to hang out with punk rockers when I was about 16 or 15, something like that. So my interest in music was very broad, and my interviews are also the same. You know, I've interviewed people like Henry Rollins, the actor and rock musician, Korn, the rock band, loads of, you know, rock bands and jazz, experimental music, DJ. I interviewed DJ Crush, the Japanese turntablist.
Wow.
You know, and I had to do that with a translator because he didn't speak English. So,
God bless you.
so that messed me up.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he liked to speak with people directly. Music is like water. It doesn't, you cannot stop it. And you can make it, you can use it for whatever purposes you want. It doesn't matter. There is no border. That's why music is so politically divisive, because people try to control it.
Yeah.
It's very heavily controlled by people who are, you know, people think, oh, pop music, it's just money. No, it's not about money. It's actually controlling your mind. It deals with music. Actually, it even gets into your soul. That's why we had soul music in the 60s.
That's right.
Right. So if you look at it like that, then you're dealing with something very, very powerful, and you have to have a certain degree of respect for it. Yes, when you're young, pop music, it's good to be involved with popular music because it's popular. But then you know, it should give you something that you can extend yourself outwards and discover other forms of music. You know, classical music, or, you know, I interview classical musicians too and things like that. So I don't have any limitations to that, and I don't think music should be seen like that. I don't even put the genres or anything. I don't really believe in the whole genre thing. We all know that that's a marketing thing. So, you know.
One thing I am really intrigued about is why you called your music project Under Your Skin.
Because that's where it's coming from.
Please.
I thought from my mind, that's where it's coming from. It's coming from a deeper point of your own physical self. I mean, if you look at music, you can go into, okay, you want to go into the occult things, you know, you're talking about opening up your crown chakra. You can do that with music. I think when you have that foundation, you go into all these things with a different attitude. It's not.
Certainly do.
Yes, you take something, you know, for example, my mother was very important to me. So, you know, I always have something of that going with me in all these things.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Thank you so much, Alexander. It's been lovely to interview you today, and you know, hear all about your amazing path as well. You know, keep shining bright and keep up with the good work with Under Your Skin.
Thank you. Thank you. It was lovely to speak with you too.
All right.
Now, we're really excited to welcome our third guest of this evening. Now, Rebecca is also known as Queen of Talk, is an entrepreneur, professional speaker, philanthropist, host of the Rebecca Davi Show, and the founder of the Davi magazine, which is a digital magazine empowering people worldwide to step into their greatness and to shine bright as well. So having overcome depression and anxiety, you have a love and commitment for helping others. And you first set out on your successful media career on radio, and also interviewing Grammy Award-winning artists, well-known public figures, international speakers, entrepreneurs, devoting yourself and your time to taking people from where they are currently positioned to where they wish to be by raising people's performances, you know, to believe in themselves and be the best that they possibly can be. Previously, you also hosted masterclasses at numerous organisations, including the fashion retail giant ASOS, which I've heard of. Rebecca's mission entails transforming millions of lives, building a global community of like-minded people with a love of personal growth, and also lifestyle entrepreneurship, openly sharing issues with people that others can actually identify with, whilst getting into people's hearts and minds as well. So welcome on the show this evening.
Well, thank you, Deborah. Thank you for having me.
Now, one thing I would like to ask you, what does social conscious music mean to you?
Oh, great question. Okay, so social conscious music, to me, it's about like consciousness is bringing music to people's awareness. You know, it has a deeper meaning as opposed to the, dare I say, but jargon that you hear nowadays.
That's right.
It penetrates the soul. It gets into people's hearts and minds also, you know, and I feel like now more than ever, we need socially conscious music. You know, we need people to be aware of certain issues that are happening in like Africa, for example, or in like Poland, for example, Ukraine, you know, right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, socially conscious music is like brightening people's awareness, you know, making them know what's happening around the world. And it's important. We need more of it. There isn't enough. I love what you're all doing. It's amazing. Skyler, Deborah, Tom, seriously. And I feel like we need this right now, you know, because a lot of people, too many people out there going through hardship, and they don't need to suffer in silence, and they don't need to suffer alone. So thank you for what you're doing and, you know, bring this to people's awareness. It's amazing.
Thank you. I think especially, you know, since COVID as well, and now obviously what's happening in Ukraine and Russia as well. And it's just really sad. And I think just to bring hope and to restore faith in humanity, you know, that a lot of healing is taking place, but we can change this world, you know, and by opening up our hearts and our minds and spread more peace and love and understanding, I think it's going to help a lot of people, most definitely.
100%.
I know Tom's got a question I'd like to ask you.
I have, well, it's around what got you into what you do. I mean, where did the germ of you being the broadcaster and presenter that you are come from? Is that just a passion for the content and you just wanted to get it out there, or what brought you to where you are now?
Oh, I would say, do you know what? I think it all stemmed from when I was really, really young. For example, I'm talking about when I was like 3 or 4. It's actually a story that my brother, he still tells me this story up to this day. He said he remembers when there were loads of children around me, surrounding me. They were older than me. And I was, as I said, around 3 or 4. And I was just speaking to them and children were just surrounding me. I don't know what I was speaking about, obviously. But, you know, I've always had a love for helping people. And people even ask me that to this day. Why do you love helping people so much? Why do you do it? It's just within me. It's innate. It's just, I can't help it.
Once we start doing our festivals, musical global chain festivals, not only do you have to come, you got to come and interview some of the artists that we're going to have. It'll be way cool, right?
Skyler, I'm there already. Let me know. I'm there already.
Yeah, I mean, because I plan on getting some pretty major people as well to come out. You know, another one that's on our team is Miss Presley, Elaine Presley. You know,
amazing.
We've been endorsed by the Presley family, and I'm gonna try to get Patty Austin and all kind of people to come. But we're gonna be doing social conscious music, so it's not gonna be love songs and nothing like that. You know what I mean? It ain't gonna be talking about yourself. It's how we can help each other, just like what you do. You know, just naturally, like you said, you love to help people, and I love that because I remember Larry King. Somebody had interviewed Larry King.
Yeah.
And he says, well, you know what? I just love asking questions.
Yes.
I'm curious, and I love to ask questions. That's how you got that gig. You know what a gig, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's That's it. That's you just like literally summed it up, Skyler. It's the thing of answering questions and knowing what's happening in someone else's mind.
Yes.
You know, knowing what's going on in their thought process and how they perceive life, because everyone has their own different like perception. You know, we all have different experiences. You know, and through someone else's experience, you could help someone else that's going through hardship. You know, it's just there's nothing greater than being of service to others. Nothing.
We just had Ralphe Armstrong on our show. Ralph used to play with Aretha Franklin and Sting and all kind of people.
Amazing.
Well, he said to us that he's planning to come over and play Ronnie Scott's.
Yeah.
And when he does, maybe I can get him to come on your show because he's really, really famous, right?
Yeah.
And tell people that he's going to be a Ronnie Scott's or something like that. It's how we help each other. We can, it's how we help each other, right?
100%.
I love this. So, like with music, I love, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, you're most welcome, Skyler. Anytime.
I love it. And you know what I mean? So, and then Ronald LaPred, you remember him?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Incredible.
He's coming on the show next week. Right?
Amazing.
Yeah. So, we've had the conductor for the Grammys on our show. We had the conductor for Titanic on our show. And we just had Antonia Bennett, Tony Bennett's daughter. You know what I mean? And it's so cool because these people, we love them to come on the show and tell why they think social conscious music is a benefit to society.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why I loved your answer, right? Even though you're not a musician, you are in a certain way because you give us a way to express ourselves.
Yes. Like an artist, yes.
Yeah, as an artist, like you said, you can ask somebody something and they got an opinion about it, right?
Yes.
And that's the coolest thing. And I love your show. I mean,
thank you.
You help us so many people out, and God bless you for that, right?
Oh man, thank you, Skyler. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Honestly, it's just like that's what it's about, There's just I don't like seeing people go through hardship, it really gets to me, and I feel like people don't need to, and I feel like a lot of people out there in the world right now, they're operating from that persona, so a full self. A lot of people nowadays, they are really scared of being who they truly are. Yeah. And even if it's just like a quote or something that I post out there that really gets to people's hearts, it makes them aware that, okay, do you know what? I could be myself. I could be authentic. There's nothing wrong with me being me. There's nothing wrong with sharing your story and saying, okay, you've experienced depression or anxiety, and it's part of your journey. That's everyone right. Has their own experience, and I feel like a lot of people need to share their stories as much as possible. A lot of people need to be vulnerable, and not be afraid of being who they are, because it is part of your journey. That's right. It is what makes you you.
Yes. I mean, like they also say as well, Rebecca, in order to understand another, first you must walk a mile in another man's shoes to understand where another man has walked. And I think, the harder path that you go through, there's two ways. You can either become bitter or resentful, or you generally want to help people make a difference.
What's on your agenda now?
Exactly.
What's next?
Oh, goodness me. What isn't on it? So I have a gent who I recently interviewed. His name's Jarrett Adams, and he was, I think I told you briefly about him, Skyler. Yeah, so he was falsely convicted for a crime that he didn't do, basically. And he was in prison for roughly around 10 years. So he managed to completely transform his life around, which is amazing. And now he's helping other people who are currently going through the same as him.
Yeah.
So it's just very, very empowering stuff. Very, very empowering stuff. And a lot of people need to be aware that it's not just them that experiencing hardship,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any more musicians coming on?
Yes, I do. I believe I do. Oh, goodness. I have to check with the team. I should have them, there's just so many different people that I've been interviewing recently. But once, I'm going to push them your way, Skyler.
If they're into the social conscious thing, and if you need any, I got plenty of them.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, you can. If you ever need people to come on, just let me know. And what I love is this transatlantic thing that we're doing, right?
Yeah,
and that's what global change is all about.
That's it.
We all speak in the same language. I love people that love people.
Yes.
We can all make a difference. And it doesn't take many people to make a difference. Even if you've just done one act of kindness each day, it's that ripple effect is going out across that world, and we can change this world.
What I love is that during this period, although it depends on how you perceive it, because some people could have learned a lot about themselves during this pandemic, or you could have been in fear, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen next? Or no, there's two different sides. But if you are like the former and you're like, okay, I see this as a experience for me to grow, experience for me to learn who I am, to get more in tune with myself, but to become more conscious, that completely shifts. It just changed like everyone's like whole vibrational energy, you're just, I just love life.
Yeah. My grandmother used to say, it don't cost nothing to be nice.
Yes.
No, it doesn't. It's free.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So listen, I love you so much.
Likewise, Skyler.
Thank you for coming to meet my friends. And this, it's my team. And we love doing this show because we love for people to come on and express themselves about positivity and how powerful music is, because we're all musicians as well. So namaste, my sister. Namaste. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Skyler, you're amazing. Deborah, awesome. Tom, you're absolutely incredible. Thank you all so much. Thank you for what you're doing and continuously spreading the love out there and the importance of conscious music, because as I said, we need it now more than ever.
Save the world. Music can save the world if we all